Welcome back to the Common Room. My name is Ren and I am going to walk you guys through a little bit of newer updates, not a lot of updates, but some updates to the Harry Potter trading card game that KAKAWOW is developing, scheduled for release at the end of 2027. Again, we are still a ways off from actually having this card game, but there's a lot of time between now and then to start revealing some information and some, cards, gameplay mechanics, all those things. So we're gonna go over the little bit of extra information I was able to get from the team via their Discord, and kind of just go over some wish list items that I would like to see, or some ideas at least that I would like to see in this new game. Make sure, if you guys have any good ideas or concrete ideas, something you would like to see in the game as well, or some aspect of the game you want to see, make sure you comment down below. They're still in the early stages of this game, and although they are going to go in their own direction, you never know. They might just take some community feedback and put it into the game. So it never hurts to try, right? All right, to get started, we're gonna dive into the Discord. So I joined the Supplé Discord there and talked to one of the guys from the Supplé team. Supplé, if you don't know, is the parent company for KAKAWOW, who is making the new Harry Potter trading card game. If you want to see kind of more of a dive into that piece of it, go watch my last video. I kind of explain their announcement and kind of what they've posted about all of that. But we're gonna just look. There was a very brief chat that we had on Discord. Again, not a lot of new information, but there were some clarifications. There were some things that I personally wanted to get a little bit of a deeper understanding on. So we dove into this, and they couldn't give me a whole lot. I'm just gonna say that there was not a lot they could give because the game is so early on in development. And I expected that. But I joined, I put out there, hey, all new here, are there any other updates or concrete information on the new Harry Potter TCG? I guess I'm really just trying to figure out if it will be a TCG like Pokemon or Magic the Gathering, instead of a collectible card game like previous versions of the Harry Potter KAKAWOW cards. They responded, and they actually responded relatively quickly. I mean, it was the same day. Input, it'll be a TCG with gameplay rather than collectible focused cards card products we've released in the past. So that was already a huge clarification, because they did put that it was a trading card game, and in my last video I even put companies are very specific when it comes to wording on a lot of product. And that was one that I thought they were definitely doing on purpose. That wasn't a slip up and that wasn't a typo, that this was gonna be a TCG, an actual competitive trading card game. And they went in on it right there, that it'll be a TCG with gameplay rather than the collectible focused cards. That makes me excited. I mean, that was already one of those things where okay, that's step one, right? We've gotta have a competitive game, not just the collectible cards. And that's one thing I do want to say. That is probably the biggest what if, the biggest everybody's holding their breath factor right now, because nobody is really sure. For the last 20 years, right? 25 years almost, Harry Potter cards that have been produced have just been collectible focused, and there is nothing wrong with that. I personally collect some of those cards as well. They're awesome, they're cool to look at, but there's nothing beyond that. They're like sports cards, to where you just get them, you look at them, you hope you get a premium one, and maybe you grade them, you throw them some binders, you display them. I mean, even with the trading card game, I display some of that stuff. So, I'm guilty for doing some of that, but there was never anything beyond that. They were just cards to collect and look at, and that is pretty much it. Now they're making the gameplay. Now they're making a competitive TCG. I am very, very excited about that. This is something that we in the Harry Potter TCG community have been, it's a double-edged sword, right? We've been wanting for a long time, we've been wanting some official stuff, but also we don't want to deviate from the original game too much. And then we also don't want things like what Decipher has done in the past with card games, or like this new Japanese Harry Potter game. I think it's exclusive to Japan, actually, where they're using movie stills and just putting this, like, it's not the greatest card overlay on it. So we're hoping for something a little bit better. This is at least promising. I'm just going to leave it there. Again, it's just a tiny bit of information, just a tiny bit added on to what we previously knew. Okay, next one. I said that is beyond fantastic. Been waiting for another game for years. One point of clarification I'd like to ask. The Instagram post said that it would be in China and other Asia Pacific locations. Does that mean it won't launch in the US, Canada, or Mexico upon release? And I'm gonna say right there, I clarified that because I am in the United States. I know I'm very close to Canada as well, and I've got a lot of buddies in Mexico who do this type of stuff as well. So I wanted to generally know, like, North America, are we getting anything? You know? So this is where I probably had the most, like, what ifs and the questions about. Not necessarily a bad thing if they don't, but I wanted to kind of get a little bit of clarification. And I think I got an answer that was kind of a non-answer, but I think we know where this may be going. So it says, that'll probably depend on whether we're able to expand the licensed regions by then. Even if it's not available through the official channel at launch, there may still be other ways to get it. So that was the thing they put in the original post, was that it was going to start off in China and the Asia Pacific regions, but that they were going to release it in English and simplified Chinese. That's what kind of gave me the questions on, well, is it going to just be China on launch, or, you know, where's it going to go? And then also, when you're talking about launch, again, as I asked the questions in the previous video, does the launch mean hardcore drop date set 1 and competitive leagues start, you know, this day, this is when the product is launching? Or does the release day mean, hey, we've got a few promos and maybe a couple demo decks we're going to throw out there in these test regions to see how they do? That could also be the release date, technically. So there's still some clarifications I want to get on some of that stuff. We were not able to get that information through this right now, though. So it says, you know, whether they're going to be able to expand the licensed regions by then. That tells me one thing, at least, that they're looking into and exploring the options of how to expand. So they want to go further than just the China and you know, Asia Pacific regions. And they made that clear on the beginning post, you know, the very first post they put out there, that they don't want it to be exclusive to their region. They want it to be global. So I think that's the game plan. They definitely kind of answered that question, that maybe right now, as it currently stands, a year and a half away from the game's launch, that the US, Canada, Mexico is not being included right now. But are there future plans for it? It kind of feels like they are saying without saying, yes, we are working on that. And I appreciate that. I respect it. I appreciate it. I hope that they're able to do it. I hope they're able to get it into Europe as well. That's arguably the larger market for Harry Potter stuff like this. I would love to see it. But trading card games, I would definitely argue the United States is the top country for competitive trading card games. So I just don't see them not eventually getting there. Whether we're there before launch or not, that's another question. Hopefully they can answer in the coming, you know, days, weeks, months. But even if it's not available through the official channel at launch, there may still be other ways to get it. So again, they're going to be printing it in English. Even if they can't, I think this is the game plan. If they cannot get to the US region by then, or the North American region by then, I think their plan is still, hey, Hong Kong, Beijing, you know, these major areas, we're going to release the English game. You guys distribute it through eBay and Amazon and whatever else, you know, to the other markets. Let them get a taste of it. Let's see how popular this game gets. And then you know, we can really punch and expand into those territories. I mean, if I had to guess, that's where I think it's going to go. And that's also why I said before, what is the technical release? What is the actual launch consisting of? If it's consisting of, hey, here's some promo cards, some teaser cards, maybe some teaser packs, sampler packs, demo decks, you know, whatever, because we've seen that with the Japanese product, right? They released 2 decks and I think a version 1 of the booster box. So if you guys haven't looked into it at all, I have purchased a box, by the way. We're going to be doing an opening of that on this channel and we'll dive into that. But for this here, they have a part 1, which means that there's at least going to be 2 parts to the booster box. So maybe what they do with Pokemon, where they kind of get like 2 English expansions, they divide it into 2, or one English expansion, excuse me, divide it into 2 Japanese sets or 2 different Japanese boxes. That's what Japan is doing with their version of the game right now, which is a separate entity again, by the way. So it's not the same as this from what I understand. But I almost wonder if that's what they're doing and they're going to just test the waters globally, see how well it's received in places like the United States and Europe and, you know, Canada, whatever, and then go from there. So I asked, my next thought on there was, I wanted to expand on that question, right? So I said, is there a current plan for the game to expand to all these other regions, namely the US? And would I be wrong in guessing that Warner Bros. Wants to see how it goes first before expanding markets? Again, what I just said. They could not answer that question. I'm going to just be honest there. They said there's still quite a while to go before release, so we'll be revealing more details over time. We'll also do our best to make sure Harry Potter fans around the world get the chance to enjoy the game. I love this answer as much as they could not give me any concrete news there, right? I love this answer. And if you guys know me, I love just dissecting these things and kind of breaking them down. And I'm going to give you my opinion here as well. I think this was like the best non-answer they could give, because they do. I'm sure they're under NDAs, and I'm sure they have, you know, things that they are not allowed to talk about until a reveal happens, an official reveal. And I feel like Supple Ethan here, I feel like he wanted to say more than he could say. I'm not, you know, not to get anybody in trouble. Obviously, he didn't actually tell me anything, but I'm just saying, I feel like there was more that was wanted to be said, which I got a good kick out of, and I love the answer again. So there's still quite a while to go before release, so we'll be revealing more details over time. Already tells me they have more details they want to share. They have specific details they just can't release yet. And I think, again, it's because there's NDAs in place and there's agreements, there's reveal stuff. Like there's a timeline for revealing certain things. Hey, in month X, we're going to reveal these little pieces. It's a trickle-down effect too, right? You don't want to just dump everything at once. That's boring. You want to give a little bit here and there, kind of keep teasing people, get them to keep coming back, and people like me to keep asking these questions so they can just be like, all right, we're going to keep reeling you in. Because again, 1.5 years is a long time to wait for a game or, you know, a TV show, movie, whatever. So they feed you just a little bit to kind of keep you reeled in and keep you interested throughout that time frame. That's essentially what they're doing, right? But that's kind of the clarification that they gave. Hey, we've got a lot of time left. We can't give everything away right now. Even though you want it, we can't give it away. But that we're gonna do the little trail here soon. We'll do our best to make sure Harry Potter fans around the world get the chance to enjoy the game. Again, tells me that they have plans to expand. So I'm not really worried. Honestly, this made me feel a lot better about regions around the world, to include, you know, North America, Europe, it made me feel a lot better that we are going to get the game at some point. Whether that's at launch, before launch, whatever, or afterwards. Because again, Warner Brothers can be kind of fickle with, they don't want to lose money. The name of the game for Warner Brothers is money. They want to see the green cash flow. Games like this have to stay in line with what Warner Brothers and what J.K. Rowling want. And how it performs is going to be very indicative on if they expand or not. But again, I think they have a very good long-term plan here. So I said fair enough. I appreciate your time. Is there anything else you can tell me about the game right now? Maybe when we can expect to see some of the art or game mechanics of the game. Basically, I knew they weren't going to give me any other information specifics like what I've been kind of trying to pry out, right? So I just wanted to kind of generally gauge, hey, is there anything else you can tell me? I just like any little niblets of information I will take right now, because I'm a fiend. I want to know. Obviously, I'm the Ravenclaw here. Like I seek the knowledge. I want to know what's going on. But I was kind of that was my lob into the dark, hoping that maybe I could get something on the art or the gameplay mechanics, because those are the two things that, if they can nail the art and they can nail the gameplay mechanics, like, I am sold. I'm 100% in. Let's do this, baby. I think that's probably the biggest questions people still have right now about what's going on. But their answer to all that was, not just yet, I'm afraid. I'll check with the team. If there's any new information to share, we'll definitely post it here. So I responded with, I appreciate it, and that was the end of the conversation. So if you guys want to be the first to see the news, you definitely need to go join the Supplay Discord. I'll see if I can remember to slap it in the description, if I can find the link again. I don't remember how I stumbled upon it, actually. I think one of the Instagram accounts that they use to display the information is where I clicked. So I don't even know if I have a link. But I will do my best to put something down there if I can. And then rest assured, of course, as soon as any more information drops, you guys know I'm going to be there to give it to you. Because, again, I'm a fiend. I need to know. Not a lot of information, again, shared through that. But I wanted to just put out some of these clarifications because I think they're important. I think getting these little tidbits of details, like, kind of nailed down helps see the larger picture clear. I am 100% I am way more excited about the game even after doing all this than I was previously, because to me it shows that there's going to be stuff coming down the line. So I'm excited to see it. With that out of the way, that kind of little tidbit there, let's dive into a little bit of some things that I would love to see, or just like mechanics, some graphical eyeballsy things I would just like to see on the game. All right. So first things first, I would love for them to keep the game as close to the original as possible. I don't think it's going to be. If I'm going to just speak freely here for a moment, I don't think it's going to be anything like the original game. Now, they could keep some of the core mechanics, Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, right? I think the life decking mechanic of the game has been controversial enough. I mean, either you love it or you hate it. There's really not any kind of in between. I don't think that's going to be how they do it. I hate to say it that way. I kind of like the gameplay. I feel like it makes deck building and strategy so much more important when you have something like life decking. But again, it's very controversial. You either love it or you hate it. People either are really into it or they are really against it. So I think because of that aspect, the game mechanic itself, the core piece of the game is so volatile. I feel like they're probably not going to go that road. Now, if they keep the life decking mechanic, I'm all about it. You know, like, hey, cool. It keeps the game so much more different than other things like Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever, that it has something very unique, some different kind of flavor already out of the gates. I don't think, though, that's how it's going to go. If I had to take a guess, I have no inside information. Let me just put that out there. If I had to take a guess at what they're going to do, they're going to probably do what's very popular right now, and that's a Commander-style game. If anybody here does not play Magic the Gathering, Commander is without a doubt the biggest format for Magic the Gathering. And since Magic the Gathering is the largest trading card game out there, it is the most played format throughout trading card games. And essentially would be similar to how Harry Potter kind of runs. You know, you start off with your character, your witch or wizard, whoever you're using, that's your starting character, that would be your commander. Now, I think they keep that part of the gameplay with actual commander, Magic the Gathering commander. You don't start off with your commander in play. Like, you have to still pay the cost on the card to get your commander in play. But your commander is what your deck is supposed to be built around, right? So everything kind of synergizes with your commander. That's kind of how Harry Potter is right now. You start off with a witch or a wizard, and your deck kind of synergizes with that. I think that aspect of it probably stays. Now, do they keep it to where your witch or wizard is on the field like the OG Harry Potter game? I don't know. Maybe. It depends on how they write out the game mechanics for cost, which also brings in the other question here too. Do they keep lessons? I could see them. Yeah, I could see them keeping lessons. I could see them wanting to use that as the game mechanic, the engine to the game. But I could also see them just scrapping that and not even using anything like that. They could do some Hearthstone style mechanic where every turn you go up a notch, you know, so you have turn one, you have one energy to spend or one whatever to spend. And maybe they do that like that too. Hey, you got one lesson book to spend to cast a card out. Turn two, you have two to spend to cast a card out. You know, they could do something like that. I mean, that is a very easy way to kind of build it. But I think sticking to something more commander style, more Magic style is gonna be key. So I think sticking to something like what Harry Potter already has, where you have to play lesson cards out and then you have to use your lessons to play cards. But I think they keep it more Magic the Gathering style to where you have to have X number of lessons out in play, but you also have to meet the number of specific lessons. So, you know, the way the Harry Potter game works right now, you have your actions, you can play some lessons, you put them out there, and then, like, let's say you have 8 lessons in play. Your lessons could be a conglomeration of any of the lesson types. And you could, I mean, I think you're limited to 2 different types per deck, but yeah, and for argument's sake, you could put any of the lesson types out there. And then if, let's say you have, this is a good example right here. We've got Searching for the Snitch. It's a 2 cost and it's a Quidditch card. So you would need at least 2 lessons in play, one of which would need to be a Quidditch, or you would need to have a character or something else that quantifies as a Quidditch lesson type. But at the end of the day, you need at least 1 that's a Quidditch and you need 2 lessons to play this card. And it's not like Magic in the way where you don't tap them and then play it out. It's, if I start my turn and I have my 2 actions, if I have 2 of these cards, I could straight up just play 2 of them, even if I only have 2 lessons in play, because I'm meeting the requirements for the cards, and you don't have to exhaust those sources to put them out there. I think that probably changes to something more like what Magic the Gathering does right now, where you have to meet a certain cost. Where did I just put? I had some magic cards somewhere around here. I don't know where I put them. Let's say I have a card that has a green and black mana, right? So now I need to have specifically a green land and a black land. I have to have those two specific lands in there to tap, and you exhaust those resources to play it. So then if I had a second copy of that card, I can't play it anymore unless I have two more of those exact same resources. So I think they probably go to something similar to that style of gameplay. I mean, Lorcana does that. What other games? I mean, what's another popular game? I don't know what else plays it, but that's kind of like the way I think is the most generic way to play a game is you have your energy resources. They exhaust when you use them. You have to have specific ones. Again, if they keep the lesson types as the energy source, but they play it like Magic, I don't know. That would be kind of cool though. I would love to see personally them keep the lesson types and, you know, use those, but maybe give it the Magic the Gathering engine where you have to exhaust them. I could see the argument for and against it. We'll see how it goes. Also, if they eventually add in different lesson types throughout the years, so like the OG Harry Potter game started off with a few of them, and then in the first expansion, the second set, Quidditch, I think that's when they introduced the Quidditch lessons, and so on and so forth. I don't remember if the Revival team has done anything like that. I think we've mentioned it before, doing something like Defense Against the Dark Arts and adding that in. Or if they just start with all of those different lesson types and then, hey, you build your decks around whatever colors your commander or your witch or wizard are, you know, like, and that also gives them, if they do something like that, I know it makes it a lot like Magic, but if they do something like that, I think the variations on even just different character, on doing the same character over and over, you could have a Draco Malfoy, for example, that could be straight up Quidditch lesson, and he's yellow, and that's all you can play him as. But then in the next expansion, you get a potions Draco, and then now you have a different, you could play the same character, but now it's a different variation, and he does different things for the different decks. Versus what the OG Harry Potter is doing, has already done, which there, you know, you got like Draco, or you know, for Harry Potter, let's use Harry Potter. You have the original Harry Potter card. He's a wizard. He has a certain ability, and then in the next set, he's got Harry the Seeker. So it's still Harry Potter, but it's different, and he's got a different ability. So now it's a different starting character. I feel like you run into problems if you just keep doing things like that over and over, especially for the longevity of a game. But if you throw in color combos with it, you've just like doubled, tripled, quadrupled, you know, however many lesson types you use, like that, you've just opened up the doors and possibilities to way more combinations that you could use. So I think for the longevity of the game, that's probably the way they would go. Core mechanics, I want them to stay as close to the original game as possible. I would love to just see different, you know, potion cards and different creature cards and make them their own archetypes. But I could also see them, again, going something more like the Magic the Gathering route, where they go, all right, all creatures can fit into any deck, and we're going to make them different lesson types so that they all can fit into a deck. So it's not like you just have a strictly creatures deck, you know, or a creatures Quidditch deck. Now you can have some Quidditch creatures thrown in here. If you have a different deck, let's say you do a potions deck, now you can have some potion creatures. You know, I feel like that just allows for a lot more variation in the game. I could see them doing something like that more than sticking closer to the original game. And that's kind of what I wanted to dive into this video first and foremost, is I think the game is going to look a lot different. It doesn't mean it's going to be worse or it's not going to be good. I think a lot of people are stuck on it has to be like the OG game for it to be good, and I don't think that's true at all. In fact, I think they could improve on the game. The OG Harry Potter game is phenomenal, and it is extraordinarily fun. But there's no question that it lagged behind the other games, you know, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering. It had fewer attractions to it, whether that's, you know, popularity, branding, whatever the case is. But I think the gameplay mechanics were definitely a reason why it never took off as big as it probably could and should have, and why it didn't stay around as long. But obviously the game is good enough to where there's a group of fans out there who kept the game going, making their own sets, right? So it's not bad by any stretch. But as for, I think, game mechanics, I want to hear what you guys think down in the comments below. I think those are some good starting points, but I want to hear what you guys have to say on the game mechanics side down below. Now, as for how the card looks, like the graphics, I genuinely would love to see them stick to this style right here. I want to see the old school style of cards. I think that would just be fantastic. It would definitely scratch the nostalgic itch that people like me have. Or if you keep something similar into the background. Now I know this is this is not even going to be a question. I know that it's not going to look anything like it. They're going to have updated graphics. They're going to have updated looks. These are very old school looking cards as I drop a bunch of them. These are great, but they're very basic. They're very plain. Honestly, that's something I appreciate about the game, but I know that to get the larger audience in, I don't think they're going to stick that way. I think they're going to make them look more like Pokemon cards and kind of, I mean, I guess even like Pokemon cards are kind of basic, but I feel like they're going to do more stuff like this, or even with the Magic the Gathering cards, where they kind of have a little bit more going on in the card. I don't know, something that they can just repeat for each individual set. There's too much variation in Harry Potter too, if I'm going to be honest. Like, you got sideways cards, you got horizontal cards, vertical cards. I think they're going to cut out things like this, and it's going to be just strictly, you know, one style of card. But the nostalgic side of me really wants to see something like that. Now, there's ways they could do that while still making it look up to date and make it look cool. So I'm very excited to see how they do it. But just please, for the love of God, don't make it look like those old Decipher Star Wars or Lord of the Rings cards. Even the new Harry Potter Japanese card game, like, I'm not a big fan of how that looks. I hope they don't do it that way. I would rather see them... I really wish I knew where I put my Magic the Gathering cards at. I wish they would do something similar to that. Even if they stuck with how Lorcana does their cards, I think doing something like this, but making it easy on the eyes, making it look good, I think would go a long way for the game. And that's the way I envision them doing it, because I feel like, again, at the end of the day, they want to do things that are going to be up to date. They want the modern player and the modern collector to get into the game. As much as, you know, I hate to say it and I want to see the OG game come back, they're going to probably go more towards like the newer generation of Harry Potter TCG players. So, but other than that, when it comes to actual card images, like the graphics themselves, they have to, they have to go back to some of this, where's my camera? There it is. Book style art. Like, they don't have to exclusively do it. They have to include some of these. There's just no way around it. It's not going to be Harry Potter. It's not going to feel Harry Potter without that. Now, I know they're going to do some digital art stuff, and they're going to do some more up-to-date stuff like this, where it just looks more modern. I know they're going to do stuff like that. I'm okay with that. Even things like One Piece, they have different artists that kind of design and interpret the characters differently. So, like, if you watch the One Piece anime or the show, you know, Zoro, for example, looks one way. He looks very distinct. But if you look at all the different variations of Zorro cards they've created over time, he looks vastly different in some of them. And I think that's kind of cool. I think that's a cool aspect that you could get into with the Harry Potter TCG. I mean, look at what the Revival group has done with some of their art. You know, none of the characters look like they're ripped off of each card and just thrown into different scenes. Like, each artist has a different style, and they draw them, they interpret them differently. I think they should lean into that. Even if they are using digital style art, they should lean into that more. The one thing I don't want to see is movie stills or show, stills from the show. I really, truly hope they do not do anything like that, because that will be a turnoff like immediately. And from what we've seen and we've talked about, I don't think that's going to be the case. So I think they're going to go with their hand-drawn art and kind of do the route that Pokemon and Magic and everybody else is doing. So you guys let me know what you think down below and what kind of suggestions, if you will, you have for the KAKAWOW team on developing this game, whether it's the card mechanics, how the cards look, or just the art themselves. Again, you never know if they're going to be watching this and they're going to be taking in the community feedback already. You never know. So it's worth a try. Let me know what you guys think down below. But that's all I'm going to do for this video. Hopefully we have another update on this card game here soon, and I can put out another one. But until then, that's all I've got. We'll see you witches and wizards in another video.